Welcome back. Happy St. Patrick's Day weekend. I hope you have a great weekend. We're going to have a lot of fun. My favorite part of the weekend is that the Cardinal has given me a general dispensation so I could eat meat on Friday. How could you go through St. Patrick's Day without a corned beef sandwich?
That's right.
I got a sandwich.
That's right.
And then Sunday I can have a corned beef hash.
You know what the saying is in Ireland?
No.
Corned beef. It's what's for dinner in Ireland.
It is what's for. I hear they don't eat that a lot, but anyway, I couldn't go. It's very important.
Or the other saying,
my brother would
saying
make
in
5
Ireland,
or 6 of them.
Or the other saying in Ireland, I have a potato. Do I eat it now or do I let it sit and ferment for months and drink it?
Drink it later.
The answer is save it.
Save it. That's right. So okay, let's do the blog segment.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
You're a funny guy.
I like that one.
I do like it too. I never heard that one.
I just heard it recently.
I heard most Irish jokes, and I've heard most every lawyer joke because everybody thinks they got to tell me a lawyer joke. Most of them I've heard, and I laugh at them. I think they're funny.
Yeah, it's like where I work too. I work in a brewery, so they'll come up and be like, "Hey, do you have any beer here?" Yes, we do.
You're the first one that said that.
This guy.
You
this
are
guy
one funny guy.
I like this guy.
Okay, so today what I want to talk about is, and usually in the blog segment, what gets me thinking about it and to write something about it is that what's going on with my clients.
What's
recently.
going on with your clients?
So what's going on recently is that there's this compliance thing. I go. When I meet with someone for the first time, we go through everything, and one of the things
Do you
I write,
smile?
I'm always smiling. Like right now, I'm smiling. See, okay,
I love it.
One of the things I write, I have a big TV screen that I use to write on, and I always write on the big.
You're always going through TVs because you can't get the crayon off the screen.
And so I write on top of it. It always says compliance. People don't really know what that means, and I try to pound it home because you can't help anybody if they're not in compliance. So I've had a client this week who got a levy slapped on him. I've been trying to help her, and these are old taxes from 2004, and she just came to see me. So they've been sitting a long time, and I've been working with the revenue officer. But what he knows, and I don't know because he has access to these records, is that she's not paying her 941 taxes even as we speak today. And so she's not in compliance.
Oh.
Okay, so compliance, again, there's a couple of different types of compliance. And
maybe I'm jumping ahead, but are you going to talk, how do you get into compliance?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about. There's a couple different kinds. There's payment compliance, there's filing compliance, and then there's reporting compliance. Okay, so payment compliance kind of you got to pay. You got to be in compliance. You owe if I'm trying to fix a problem that you've had in the past, and you continue not paying the IRS and continue owing the IRS, you're not in payment compliance, and they're never going to fix you. They're never going to stop coming after you if you continue with the problem. Okay, so what the IRS wants you to do is, and again, I think sometimes it's more important to the IRS that you stay in compliance going forward than to worry about the money that you owe them. Okay, they want you to stay in compliance. Reporting compliance means I've got to file my tax returns on time. So, and this happens. And again, I pound it home. I talk to my clients all the time about this. Or I get people who've set up their own installment agreement, or went to some other outfit and they set up an installment agreement, and then they come at me, hey, they just terminated my agreement. I've been making all my payments. How could they terminate my agreements? Well, did you file your last year's tax return? Oh, no, I didn't. I still owed some money and I didn't file, or I asked for an extension. Well, if you read these installment agreements carefully, when they agree to any kind of whether it's an installment agreement or a currently not collectible status or even a offer in compromise, one of the key ingredients of that agreement, it's a contract like everything else, is that you're going to stay in compliance. In payment compliance, I'm going to pay on time. In filing compliance, I'm going to file everything on time. So this is important. And again, so you can make all the payments, do everything I did everything I'm supposed to do. Well, no, you didn't, because you didn't pay your taxes on time.
That's why they're coming after you.
Exactly. And then they come back. Now we talk about that a lot, right? It's the cascading tax problem. So you fix your your tax problem from last year, and then you run into it again this year. Right, you don't pay this year, so now you owe more, and you're gonna take you out of the agreement. They're gonna start coming after you again, can start levying your paycheck, start levying your bank accounts, taking things away from you. And obviously, that's not what you want. You don't want that to happen. But this is always part of all of these agreements, is to stay in compliance. And again, I have a client. And it's terrible because she runs a business and they're going after her one supplier who pays her most of the money. I had another guy, same thing happened. He's a doctor, and much of his money comes from insurance companies. He's got a number of insurance companies. What the IRS did is, we get him into currently not collectible status, and then he doesn't pay his 941 taxes the next quarter. So what do? They send levies to every one of the insurance companies that he does business with, and all the money that he gets every month, it's stopped. And so this really gets your attention, right? What am I going to do?
Oh yeah.
So now you not only are you under the gun, but you got to beg the IRS to stop these levies. So, and this is why sometimes bankruptcy is an important option, because the only thing stronger than the IRS, the only thing more powerful in our society than the IRS is the federal court system. And so sometimes that's what bankruptcy falls under, the federal court system. And so sometimes you have to look to the bankruptcy court to stop the levies. Because, again, you're talking to a revenue officer. He's sometimes been dealing with some of my clients for years, and they haven't been paying, and they've been running up the bill. And finally, they get to the point where they say, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to freeze we're going to take all your money. And then you try to deal with them. Well, again, if my business is not going to get any income, how am I going to pay my employees? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to keep in business? You're not going to stay in business.
There's that cascading problem again.
So what you got to do is sometimes you have to go to the bankruptcy court and use the bankruptcy court because one of the strongest orders that the bankruptcy court has is called the automatic stay. And the automatic stay occurs the moment you file a petition with the bankruptcy court. You're protected by this automatic stay. And that protection goes to all your creditors, including the IRS. So once I file a petition with the bankruptcy court, the automatic stay comes in place, and the IRS must stop any levies that they have against you. So if they have my bank account frozen, they have to unfreeze it. If they're taking my wages, they have to let those go. If they're levying my vendors or the people that are paying me, they have to let that go too. So, and then it gives you some time to reorganize. Sometimes you reorganize under the bankruptcy code, and sometimes it just gives you some breathing room to get everything in order, and then let the bankruptcy get out of bankruptcy, and then deal with the IRS directly. Mm-hmm. So these are all strategies that you need to have at your disposal if you think you're going to help your clients. And I think we talk a lot about this on the show, is that a lot of these outfits, they're not attorneys, and some that are even attorneys, they don't know anything about bankruptcy laws. So the most important, the strongest option that you might have, your guy that you've hired may not even have it available to him. And he's certainly not going to tell you about it because he doesn't know about it. So it's so important that when you're going to hire somebody, that you get somebody that can offer all of the relief that's available to you, and to use them as you need them. So again, sometimes we use the bankruptcy code just to get the levies released, and then we still have to deal with the IRS. So you still might have to do an installment agreement or a currently not collectible or an offer and compromise down the road. But you use the federal court to protect my clients. So important.
That's why it's so important to have open tax resolution. You just showed it right there, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody can get into these problems. Remember, 312-664-6649 can save you a world of hurt and get you right back on track to that path to financial success, because it happens so many. How many times do you see that? I mean, this is just
over and over
common. It's just a common occurrence, and you could think you're doing everything correct, but the IRS doesn't agree with you. That's right. Get help. 312-664-6649 with open tax resolution. And also visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to help fight the IRS. Watch previous videos, get the blog report, and have another way of contacting attorney Stephen Leahy. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Stay tuned, because after the commercial break, more IRS Radio Hours coming your way on AM 560, The Answer.